sector is a critical support system for business, but currently facing a dilemma on how to manage non-performing loans.
A dilemma indeed, because at the moment it is clear that the non-performing loans are big. However, if banks liquidated them, they cannot realize the kind of money they gave out to the business community in the first place. So the key question we are asking today is, what will be the best way forward?
During the month, the shilling opened the month of October at levels of around 38.30, 38.40. We saw the shilling mainly stable throughout the month, but slightly strengthening to trade at levels of 38.10, 38.20. Major factors that drove the shilling strength during the month, we continue to see inflows from NGOs, but also commodity exporters. For example, agricultural products like coffee, tea, cotton exporters. We saw those inflows coming through. We also saw some offshore remittance flows starting to trickle into the market that led to the shilling strength. On the demand side, we continue to see pockets of corporate demand from the usual sectors. That's energy, manufacturing, coming through the market. So more or less would say that the shilling was range bound throughout the month between levels of 3800 and 3850. The Monetary Policy Committee sat on the 6th of October and they raised the central bank rate by 1% from 9% to 10%. What this implies for the short-term interbank money markets, interest rates are definitely relatively higher. It means the cost of borrowing is also going to increase for those who are borrowing in terms of loans for clients. We've seen some banks increase their lending rates, prime lending rates at the moment. Also, we've seen the yields on government securities like the treasury bills continue to edge upward with the 1 year trading at around 15.50% as per the previous government treasury bill auction held. So cost of credit is definitely becoming a little more expensive. On the other hand, for savers who are looking to invest in instruments like government securities, they're definitely getting a better return in terms of yield at the moment. We still continue to see the impact of a strong dollar globally. So we still anticipate that the shilling will remain weak overall, likely to trade between levels of around 3750 and 3900 as we draw close to the end of the year. We're still likely to maintain that range unless we see healthy remittance flows coming through. Previously, in the previous years, we had offshores coming to invest in government securities that also helped with the dollar inflows. But at the moment, with increased inflation and the outlook in the global economy in terms of all the macroeconomics, offshore investors are instead exiting most of the emerging markets, including Uganda. So we're not seeing many of these dollar flows coming through. So overall, the unit is likely to remain weak as we draw close to the end of the year, at least weaker than where we opened. At the moment, Uganda is not an exception in the global markets. We're seeing all markets have been impacted by the Russia-Ukraine conflict that's still ongoing. Commodity prices are high, like crude oil prices, which are impacting our fuel prices. We've seen central banks across the globe increasing their interest rates, including the Federal Reserve, Bank of England, European Central Bank, and Bank of Uganda also has gone ahead to raise the CBR rate because of the rise in inflation. So as an economy, we're still being impacted by the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and we're still likely to see a volatile currency and a relatively high interest rate.
Uganda is an agro-based economy, but we are currently challenged by the tough climate crisis, now characterized by harsh weather conditions such as heavy rains and high temperatures.
Now, that is a question of survival of a country like Uganda, where a bulk of its population actually relies on agriculture. Now, we try to find out what is being done, what can be the best way forward from both the private sector and the public sector to save the economy and the livelihoods of many. As Kenya embraces genetically modified organisms, commonly known as GMO seeds, debate is on in Uganda as to whether the country should take the same route. Simply put, a genetically modified organism is an animal or plant whose DNA has been altered using genetic engineering. To GMO advocates, the move is a good answer to the country's food security risks, recently escalated by the prolonged drought and population expansion.
We see this technology has potential to address malnutrition. It has potential to address effects of climate change, especially drought. It has potential also for food safety to address other issues. Given that our population is increasing, we need also to match that with increasing food production. It means we may have to go for more innovative ways, including use of technology.
Others, however, assert that Uganda's fairly good soils and climate can still support better crop and animal productivity in its natural state, given better management and a general transition from subsistence agriculture currently practiced by a bulk of the farming masses. Other experts are concerned about the regulatory gaps which are already manifesting, especially at this time when our neighbors are embracing GMOs.
I have a worry. The worry is the capacity to handle them. As I speak now, we already have GMO products on market in Uganda, especially processed products. They're already in Uganda, which are GMO, and currently we're even developing guidelines on the importation of those GMO. When we're importing those products, what are those specifications that those products should be having? Because sometimes we don't have any guideline. Things are coming in. We don't have any guidelines at the moment that is governing the importation of those GMOs.
While GMO products are here, experts note that the seeds are not in the market yet, but may not be far.
As far as the seed is concerned, these seed that farmers use, at the moment, we don't have any GMO seed in Uganda, and there are some trials being done at National Agricultural Research Organization. They are doing some trials, and we already have a bill which is not yet assented to by His Excellency, the President of Uganda. So that's why we are moving very fast, that no, as we wait for the bill to be an act, let us first be developing guidelines to safeguard the population of Uganda.
To crop scientists, at some point the country has to make the GMO embracing decision, given the tough realities where much of the agriculture environment has been altered.
Uganda has good rainfall, it has good climate, it has good soil. But is that true anymore? I think things are changing, as you may know. When we started work on drought-tolerant varieties, developing drought-tolerant varieties, more than 10 years ago, people actually thought it was not necessary because we're a green country, we don't have drought, our soils are very fertile. But that is changing. I think we're now facing the effect of climate change, which is manifesting itself in terms of drought, in terms of floods, in terms of shortened seasons, which are not beginning as they used to be. So the reality is things have changed. Number two, also our soil fertility has declined. Yeah. So the problems we're dealing with now are not the same problems we're dealing in the past. So the issue of we have a good climate, we have good soil, I think that is changing. And it will even become worse in the future. So the best way is for research to be ahead of development and develop technology that can be able to catch up and address some of these problems. And that is what we do.
There are, however, still many with reservations about GMOs, anchoring much of their argument to their impact on the environment, human health, and the looming risk of a creation of a huge dependence of the farming community to seed companies. The question, however, remains, which position would Uganda take, given that a section of MPs led by Bufumbira County MP James Nsababuturo are already planning to introduce a bill prohibiting genetically modified organisms, even after the House passed the GMO bill in 2018.